Check, check, check. Check in for sound. The sound, the sound, the sound, the sound. Yes, we do have sound. So I want to say greetings, 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 everybody out there, and welcome to another live broadcast right here on TR News and Reviews. We're happy to have you sharing with us this evening as we extend our coverage on this interesting and otherwise someone would say a very intriguing story of the Gabby Petito's case. As the search gets intensive and has extended over numerous days, Dog, the bounty hunter, is closing in with very good leads that he is very well on track. The FBI has also taken lead in this investigation. I'm not sure why they waited until now before they became fully a part of this story. Before we go any further in this case, let me first say greetings to those that are here. I hope you all are hearing me. Okay. I hope you all are hearing me. Thank you so much for joining us. We see Michael Bailey present in the studio. Thank you for being here. We have SF Rose present as well. We have YY Not in the building. Thank you for being here. We also have the Down Under Cruisers. Good day and welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. We also have YY Not. Why is my voice sounding all chippy? Excuse me, I beg your pardon. All right, we are ready to dive in all these new stories making the news tonight. Brian Laundrie manhunt. Tipster sent Dog, the bounty hunter, to Florida campground 70 miles from the family home. All right, those and other stories making the news tonight. I want to say welcome to King Bluto. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a critical case and it has garnered a worldwide interest. I am convinced at the moment that everybody in the world is on the case. Eyes everywhere, all across social media. Several countries in the world are zoomed into this case. It's a very interesting one. Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Everybody is searching for clues. Everybody is searching for answers. Everybody wants to provide something that will lead to the arrest of Brian Laundrie, or, just enough as getting answers, because at the moment, I've been saying this from the beginning and everybody knows, the only person that knows the truth is Brian Laundrie at the moment. First, it was him and his amazing wife, Gabby. They were the only two that knew the truth to the story. But since Gabby has passed, now only Brian is left with the truth, and everybody is seeking that one gold mine from him, the truth. But is he willing to come out and tell? Is he willing to come out and tell what really went on? Now, a lot of good evening, Greg and the RVDJ. A lot of behavioral analysts and all these kind of professionals are saying that Brian have been showing traits of being a master manipulator. He also has been very abusive, and he knows just how to get everyone, well, not everyone, but he eluded the police from the beginning and got them to overlook that he could be someone that was slowly killing Gabby from the beginning. So what seemed to be a very nice, beautiful story on the outside with two amazing young couple exploring and enjoying their lives on Earth, exploring all kinds of parks and mountains and creeks and just basically camping out there in the wild, enjoying what life has to offer. No one really knew that on the inside there was darkness until that first call was made. So, what seemed to be a beautiful trip was actually, a lot of things was behind the scenes that probably they didn't want anybody to see. But maybe it was a good thing someone saw, because maybe this whole thing was a plan from the beginning. Maybe from Brian's side, the whole thing was a plan to, because I wouldn't want to believe that he's just improvising at the moment and have things sorted out so well. The parents is behind him 100%, and I bet he has a lot of other people supporting him along the way as well. So this thing seem to be well sorted out, well planned, and etc. etc. Let's just take a quick look on what Bounty, the dog hunter, I mean dog the bounty hunter, had to say about the story, revealing that there is good grounds that he is definitely closing in on the matter. Again, welcome to TR News and Reviews. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Okay, let me just stop that real quick, and let me know if you're hearing that audio, because there's a strong chance that you might not be hearing that audio out there. So let's just do some audio check right now and let us know if you're hearing this on your end. Hold on, let me just find a track for you and play, just to confirm that you're hearing the track out there. Okay. All right, so you're actually not hearing the track. So let me just get this plugged in properly so you can hear whatever I am doing on this end. Okay. Let me know if the audio is okay out there now. There was a little bit of squealing. Yes, I heard the squealing. So, let me know if the audio is good out there now and you can all hear me clearly and there is no squeaking and all that kind of stuff. All right, let me just go back to this clip that we have here and play this one more time.
And September 6th through the 8th, they registered to stay at this park. They were registered, went through the gate, they're on camera, they were here. And they did enter, they did come here. Allegedly, what we're hearing is 2 people left on the 8th, 3 people came in on the 6th, and 2 people left on the 8th. I think he's been here for sure.
Okay, so that's Dwayne, Dog the Bounty Hunter.
So there's a lot of little islands around the area where we're at that he could get to on a canoe. We talked to the caretakers today of the islands. They said he could be out here, that he was here for sure, not over in the swamp.
Okay, so that's Dog the Bounty Hunter confirming that Brian checked in with his parents, or at least with 2 other people, on this campground, and he was there for a couple of days, and he think that he's somewhere in the surrounding at the moment. I want to say greetings to Vermont Paint and Phone to Photos. Thank you for joining us. Also, Derek C. Williams, it's great to see you. Chapman announced Saturday he was entering the search for Laundrie, and tips quickly poured in. He told Fox News he received a tip on Monday that Laundrie parents spent the night in Fort DeSoto Park with their son twice in early September. Look at that. Now, the parents have been in full support of the young man, and I'm not sure. Let me ask you, what do you think? Greetings, Leonard Duke. Great to see you, my brother. Really happy to see you here tonight. Now, I want to know. I want to know what you think as a parent. If you have a beloved child that found himself into some conspicuous situation, what would you do as a parent? Would you encourage your child to give himself to the police? Would you personally take your child to the police? Or, I want to say, what would be the next option? Would you advise your son or daughter to give themselves to the police? What would you do? I want to see your response to this to this situation, because it's serious. It's a very serious situation, and the Northport police confirmed that Brian Laundrie's mother reported, sorry, Roberta called 911 on Dog the Bounty Hunter when he knocked on the family's door over the weekend. So we see where the family, the mother and the father, has been protecting the guy this whole time. Well, that's no news. We've noticed that from the inception, from the beginning, that they were very protective of their son. We are not sure what they're hiding, and we are not sure why there would be a need to protect Brian from the police. I'm not sure. There has been a lot of distraction. We see going on in the case here, and nobody is sure what the situation really is. But very suspicious Brian. I think by now 3 quarters of the world is now suspicious of Brian being the attacker in this situation. Strong case that he is responsible for the death of Gabby. Everybody's wondering, and I would wonder too, You went out for 2 months on a road trip to spend with your fiance. You've just not too long ago, you've just placed a ring on the young lady's finger, you know, protesting your love for her. How can you love someone so much? You go out for 2 months, spend some time together, building the relationship, bonding in the relationship, and then something happened, a fight happened, and you took a break for 1 day or 24 hours, get back together, trip was going on very well, and then you just decide to get away from your girlfriend and head back home. And you turn up at home without your girlfriend. You had nothing to say about her whereabouts, about what happened between you and her. You just turn up at home like nothing went wrong and then plan a trip immediately. Not even 2 days later, not even 3 days later, not even a week later. Immediately plan a hiking trip and went out again as if nothing happened. Very suspicious, very suspicious. He made himself look from the beginning. Let's see what Derek has to say. As a parent, you don't want your child in trouble. To begin with, yes, I agree, which is why you raise them the best you can. But if they go out into the world acting up, the world is going to respond in kind. In short, act right. So basically, um, Derek C. Williams is saying, at some point, even if you train your child up the right way, and lead them in the path that they should be, at some point in time, the child might fall out of grace with your teachings, and at this time, the world is going to throw all kinds of things at them. But the question is, Derek, as a parent, the question is, when your child have fallen apart or fallen out of grace, in terms of what you've taught them growing up, what do you do when your child become a monster? Because a lot of people know that their child is a monster and they behave like their child is the sweetest thing on earth because it's their child. I have seen several children that was suffering mentally, and while the child is a disgrace to everybody that the child come across, the parent is always there to support and give love to the child 100%. Now, I'm throwing the question to everybody out there. I see Amazing Maisie in the building. Welcome. I also see KD Davis in the building. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If your child have gone out of the way to do wrongs, such as to have a missing girlfriend that turn up dead, as a parent, what would you do with your child? Would you send your child to the police? Tell the child to go give themselves up to the police? Or would you take them into the police yourself? Or would you call the police to come take your child from your house for questioning or for whatever it might be, because your child might be guilty of taking the life of another parent child? What would you do? Katie Davis is saying she would have taken her child to the cop. You think your child would love you after you've done that to him or her? You have a child that depend on you for 100% support, and they've gone wrong, and you take them into the police. The child is not going to like you again. Hello, everyone. The dollar sign seems to be missing, so I come with my sunshine in my heart. Thank you, Tommy Travels. Thank you so much for joining the chat room with the sunshine in your heart tonight. Yes, the dollar sign has been removed. Yes, so if anybody wants to give something to the TR News and Reviews, you have to send it straight to PayPal or Cash App, because I will not be um, doing anything monetarily on YouTube for this channel at the moment. All right. Vermont is saying, my child would know better to come back home. My child would know better to come back home. I am not sure if that is corresponding with any of my question or what we would like to know here tonight. That is not answering the question, Vermont. Of course, we would believe, I believe, all right, your child come back home. How? Your child just come back home. Okay. Now you have to remember, your child is out on a camping trip, enjoying their lives, and one come home without the other, without saying anything. And a few days later, police show up at your house investigating a missing girlfriend that your son went out with. You know, what are you going to do? The parent of this child certainly was on the child side 100%. They weren't cooperating with the cops, not even for a minute. You know, it's not even like they started cooperating in the beginning and then things were looking ugly, so they became uncooperative. These people were supporting their son and whatever he was doing from the get-go. Now we've seen many stories online at the moment that the guy is a narcissist. You know, we've seen stories that he's a master manipulator, he's abusive. I don't know these things for sure, but people are saying that he certainly have these traits and needs to be looked into. They may come after me next door. If they kill one time, they will kill again. That is true. Katie Davis, that is absolutely true. If your child kill once and you protect them, you might just be nurturing a serial killer, because sometimes when you see them start out, it might be the first that you know of. There might be others before that one. And if you sit and pretend like you're not noticing that your child has opened up a new path to travel, you might very well have a few more deaths to deal with in the very near future. SF Rose is saying, if someone did this to our kid, you would want justice served. So if your child does this to someone else, you should bring them in and let justice be served. That doesn't change your love for your child. There is a word out there that is saying, easier said than done. Now, I have some beloved children that I defend with everything that is in me. And I can't imagine my beloved daughter, of whom I am well pleased at the moment, my beloved daughter come home and I realize that she has committed a serious crime out there in the world. This is not going to be something easy. It's not going to be something easy. I probably would have to go take counseling, and I probably would, I probably would throw the question like I am doing right now. I probably would throw the question to a few people and say, what would you do if your daughter went out with her spouse, and came back home, and the spouse is missing and she had nothing to say? What do you do in the situation? This story is absolutely a serious story. Killing is addictive. Ask the Mendes brother parents. Sorry, the Melendez. Oh my goodness. Killing is addicting. I never know that something like killing could have become addictive. How does killing become addictive? That's very serious there. It's not easy, but what would you do if someone did this to your daughter? No, I know exactly what I'm going to do if somebody did this to my daughter. If somebody took my daughter for a weekend As a matter of fact, I will tell you a story quickly. Before a guy decide to take my daughter, I am already asking my daughter a lot of information about him. Where does this guy live? Who does he stay with? Where does he go? When he go, where he go? You know what? How does he behave when he's away from other people? How do you guys operate during your alone time? And I personally know if a guy did this to my daughter, it's not going to be anything pretty out there. You see? So I can't imagine if my son was doing this. As a matter of fact, I can tell you this. When I was in Jamaica, there was a stepson of mine that seemed to be a little abusive to his girlfriend. And I noticed his mom would literally laugh about his behavior. He was literally slapping his girlfriend when she does wrong. And the mother would laugh at the situation. Now, when you do these things, you're fueling the development of a monster that will soon be unstoppable. You see? Yes, 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 that's right. You would go after him yourself, absolutely. And you would both wind up in prison. Yes, I am certainly going to prison. Prison is not going to miss me. If someone does this to my daughter, I am going. As a matter of fact, I might just walk. I might as well walk in the prison and lock myself up in there. If somebody did that to my daughter, I probably would have just walked straight into the police station and tell them to put a cuff on my hand because I've already committed the damage. Before I even set my foot out there to find the perpetrator, I would have committed myself to the police because I know what is going to happen. Yeah, that's right. Just last week, I was reading a. Just last week, I was reading a Jankro Child. Derek, you're too Jamaicanized for me right now. A Jankro Child bucks up in mother, blacked her eye, and cut her up after he used her credit card to buy a gun. Oh my goodness. I don't believe she turned him. After all this, she didn't turn him in. You see, a lot of these things could be stopped. You could nip these things in the bud when you see them sprouting. But a lot of us watch these little things, sprouting, and we do nothing about it. And before you know it, the little sprout become a branch, a limb, a tree, and it becomes a whole thing that you can't control in the very near future. You need to bud these things early. Because it becomes a drug. I know men that served in war, and some say it became a dangerous thrill. They spent years getting help. Now, I can understand. For those in combat, it's a different story. Yes, soldiers at war, killing for them is a different story. When you kill in war, you feel like you've stopped an element that would destroy a mass amount of people. So you're happy when you take out a subject in war. So I would not even talk about war in this case. When when a soldier takes down a Taliban or somebody who would have been a threat to more than one person or even one person, it feels like you have accomplished a great deal. You have taken out a subject that would have destroyed beloved people. So that's a different story. I can definitely understand if it becomes a thrill for soldiers to kill. Yeah, I actually know the feeling of that, even though I didn't get to kill anybody. That's right. If TR was my son and did this, I would protect him to. If SM Rose was my daughter and did this, I would have turned. Oh, Carolina Hillbilly.
Timing him out.
Carolina Hillbilly, you always make me laugh, in these situations, you see? Um, oh my goodness gracious Lord. Hold on, let me get this properly.
Oh, go protect him.
Uh,
Whatever.
no, I'm actually searching for something else because we do have a situation here that needs fixing. So I'm just trying to fix the situation
I'm
here.
actually searching for something else.
All right. I want to thank those who voluntarily gave this stream a like. I do appreciate it. We don't have a massive number of people around here. A massive number of people around here, but we are definitely pleased with the ones that we have present in the chat. Thank you so much for coming. Amazing Maisie is here. Carolina Hillbilly is here. Derek C. Williams is here. Vermont Paint and Photos is here. And the entire massive and crew is up here in the building in the chat.
Stab my back.
What was that?
Stab my back.
Did you say I stab you in the back? Oh my goodness. Let's just play one of these clips quickly. If it will play. Come on, go ahead and play. You're taking this long. Right. So let's get back to the chat room. Nana's Crafty Corner, Donna. Hey TR, haven't been in. Hold on. Hey TR, haven't been in a while. Hope you and SF Rose are doing okay. Oh my goodness. I am so happy to see you, Nana's Crafty Corner. Really pleased to see you tonight.
I nailed this down to follow through on if he is indeed in that swamp.
Well, you're right. It could be a red herring, but the FBI and the municipal law enforcement entities involved in this case know far more than we do. And they're sifting through hundreds of thousands of tips and leads every single day. And they're distilling that down to actionable intelligence, and they're moving forward in that direction. And they have to do that until something happens. Dog the Bounty Hunter is right. These tips are coming in, and they may come into him, they may come into us, they may come into both locations. But social media is blowing up with everyone trying to garner information to give to law enforcement to bring Brian Laundrie to justice.
What do you look for? I mean, look, you've got, it's 17.8 miles from the Northport home of the Laundries to that wilderness site where his silver Mustang was found. You got to have surveillance cameras, traffic cameras, red light cameras, surveillance video to see if he indeed was in that car. What's important for the FBI to look at, and especially have they alerted border authorities if he may have skipped the country?
Alerting the border authorities happened very, very early on. But with regard to searching an area like this, it's really important to coordinate heavily, put everything on like a grid system, because you are going to search different grids, different sectors. And if it's not organized, you're not doing a thorough job. And trust me, they're doing a very thorough job. But to answer your question, they're looking for everything. They're looking for license plate reader recognition to see if and where that car traveled. They're even checking camera access for along the route that would take Brian Laundrie and or his parents to that location. They're looking at every single thing they can, and they're trying to put it all up on a timeline, because when you throw something up on the timeline, you really see things that you might miss otherwise.
Why is the timeline so important? That is a foundation of a criminal investigation. What does that tell investigators like yourself that could potentially lead them for justice in this case?
Well, when someone says A happened, B happened, we have this information, when you put it up on the timeline, you can see that this person said this, but look, their phone was pinging in a different direction or in a different location. Or the parents said they went to drive the car together. They went in their truck to go pick up Brian Laundrie's car at the reserve. But when they look at surveillance video, perhaps only one parent is in the car or something along those lines. When you look at every single thing along every moment that it happened, it really gives you a holistic view of what's happening, who's being truthful, who's being less than truthful, and what that means with regard to the investigation.
Let's hold on for a moment. Let's go back, or let's go live to the Maloney Funeral Home in Holbrook, Long Island. Well, let's go back to Maureen O'Connell for a final word. Maureen, I can't imagine the strength and love, of course, for both of them to stand up, but it's also so public. Tell us about the sense of service, the importance of this being so public, and something else that her father, Joe, said, which is to think of yourself that an apparent reference, perhaps, to a domestic abuse, perhaps a sense of what the allegations were in terms of what some eyewitnesses said they saw between Gabby and Brian, which caused the police to stop them. Your thoughts on why this is so important to be public?
Well, I think it's brought a lot of things to the forefront. For example, Gabby was apologizing during that contact with law enforcement. Law enforcement did a wonderful, compassionate job, in my opinion. They went over and above, and they spoke with her. Two separate officers took her aside and said this might be a toxic relationship. And if anyone knows what a toxic relationship looks like, it's law enforcement, because they're faced with it every single day. But I just think there's something about Gabby. She is just so angelic and so sweet. And law enforcement officers, the one thing we care most about are the victims.
Did she just say, and Gabby is very sweet? Yes, that's what she actually just said. So everybody in this scenario of where this whole thing happened, let me just see if I can get this video on here. When the police arrive at that scene that day, you know, that was something to look at in this particular video, because as she rightly said, the police, they were very compassionate. They didn't treat the situation as anybody being abused as what was seen. Instead, it was called a some mental illness, you know, the situation. So nobody was charged, even though if the police had digged deeper in the situation from this particular day, this situation would not have escalated so far, and the result would have been different, of course, but nobody knew, nobody could see at the moment, because nobody was paying attention to the behavior of Brian. Of course, when we speculate or when we review the video clip by clip in this particular footage, it suggests that the guy was far too calm. It tells a story. And I know what the story is. When a guy can be so calm, when he was so friendly, he was unbothered by the situation. He didn't want the police, he didn't want to press charge against his girlfriend, of course, because he was managing the situation. So you see, the girl was saying, he was saying the girl was, scratching him, hitting at him and all of that, but, he wasn't pressing charge. He held his ground. He wanted no part of them taking her away or locking her away for abusing him. He knew right then and there that he could manage the situation. That's why he wasn't, he didn't care whether the police would take her away. He didn't care that the whole situation would have caused, her to be in jail for a night or two or whatever the situation was going to be. He was just very composed during this situation. Let's just take another look at it again and see if we can see some of the things that I'm talking about, that I'm not really making stories up. I'm sure many of you have seen it before, but I just want us to take a quick look at it again just to make sure that what I am saying is in line with facts, because the last thing that I want to do on this particular page is to say things that is unlike reality. We want everything that we say here to be proven
Of Brian's
facts.
personal items to help with DNA matching. On Saturday, reality TV star Dwayne Chapman, better known as Dog the Bounty Hunter, showed up at the home. No one answered the door, but the bounty hunter says he believes if Brian is not in the Carlton Reserve, then he's likely in another wilderness setting that he's also familiar with, such as the Appalachian Trail, because Dog believes that Brian is not a career criminal.
You can't stay and shoplift and stay in cheap motels or rob people like a lot of people that I chase. This kid is an outdoorsman.
More than 1,000 people attended a Sunday memorial service for Brian's girlfriend, Gabby Petito, on her native Long Island in New York. Her father and stepfather delivered the eulogies.
And I want you to be inspired by him. That's what we're looking for. That's something that I want to see. If there's a trip you guys want to take it now. Do it now while you got the time.
Although there is a lot of evil and wrong in the world, there is more good. And there's a lot of good people out there. And they're all in this room right now. And they're all across the world.
Gabby's parents and step-parents plan to hold their first news conference together tomorrow. Dana, back to you.
All right, we'll pay attention to that. Thank you.
So for more on all this in the search, Brian Laundrie, where is he? Nancy Grace is host of Crime Stories with Nancy Grace on Fox Nation. Nice to see you, Nancy, on this Monday morning. Want to take our viewers back to a piece of audio that appeared in the last couple of days. This is between cops in Utah. Remember the whole deal where they got a phone call in Moab, Utah, and the police reported? You can see the body cam video on them. This is the 12th of August when the dispatch went out the following way about seeing a man hit a woman. Watch.
RP states seen a male hit a female domestic. He got into a white Ford Transit van, has a black ladder on the back, Florida plate. I'm not sure where it's at, but the female who got hit, they both, the male and the female, both got into the van and headed north.
So based on that description of what that's pretty specific. Now this is what I understand, Nancy. State law requires an officer to make an arrest if there is probable cause. You don't need a warrant. So there might have been probable cause on the dispatch audio we just played. However, in the original police report that we read several weeks ago, both Gabby and Laundrie did not want to press charges against each other. So then what does a cop do in a situation like that?
Well, I can tell you what I've done in that situation. When I had a woman come into court with a felony aggravated battery as a victim, she's the victim, dragging her leg and a half a body cast. I told the man that did that to her, I was prosecuting, not her. It's not her fault. Under the circumstances that we now know, the cops could have arrested him. Because what we're learning now is they knew about the prior hitting incident. Apparently 2 witnesses saw Brian Laundrie hit and slap Gabby. A third said he only saw Brian Laundrie shove her. So under those circumstances, they could have arrested him. As it is, they decided she was the aggressor based on what the 2 of them said. And they face a prospect of if they went to court, she probably would not testify against him. Do I think what happened was wrong? Yes, I do. I originally thought they were being very solicitous and kind to Gabby until I found out they likely knew that there was another 911 call where he had hit her and there were 2 witnesses. That changes things.
So where's Laundrie? Is he in this 25,000 acre
can I
grove
talk to
there
you
in
about
West
that?
Florida? I just want to read some quotes from FoxNews.com. Experienced outdoorsman says, "No buzzards, no body." He doesn't think he's there. He said, unless he's got a butt like a duck and can float, he's not in there. Where do you think he's gone?
From the beginning, I did not think Brian Laundrie was in the 25,000 acre swamp because of one thing. Mama ain't crying. Somebody told me one of my children were out in a swamp about to commit suicide. I'd be out there right now on a skiff screaming, "John David, Lucy, where are you?" That's not happening. They're cutting their grass. They're going to see their lawyer. They're not trying to save him. They're not out in the swamp with the cops looking for him, number one. Number two, no fresh water in a swamp. I just took my children on an expedition in a swamp not far from them to go gator hunting. Yeah, you heard me. There's no fresh water there. There's no buzzards, no fresh water, and Mama is not crying. Yeah. He's not in that swamp.
Carlton Reserve, home to 13-foot alligators, panthers, black bears, wild
Yeah,
boar, and snakes.
I want to agree. I want to agree with that instantly and immediately. If the son had gone missing in the swamp, the parents would have been troubled by the situation. If he was somewhere that they weren't sure that his life probably was in danger. If the guy was in danger or if there was something happening to him, the parents would have been worried unless they knew he was a monster and didn't care. So either way you take it, something is not right. So if he was a monster, it is a good reason why they would not be worried of his disappearance. But let's say he was a good kid and he disappeared and they're not worried. It means that they know exactly where he is, or they at least know that the kid is safe. So of course I am very much in agreement with the analysis of this reporter here. Definitely. And she's actually right up my line as well, right up my alley. From the beginning, I already said that this guy could never be in the swamp. I personally just think this whole search in the swamp, this whole 25 acres at the reserve, with this massive, extensive search with dogs and drones and trucks and tractors and all kind of things searching, it could never be that they were searching for Brian. I already thought that they were searching for something else, some form of evidence. Now, there was a question that was asked earlier today. Having the truck, wouldn't they have sufficient DNA samples from all the things that Brian would have touched in the van and all the scenes that they have been? Wouldn't there be a lot of DNA samples to take from that? Why is it that today you're hearing that the FBI has taken over the investigation fully, and they're just taking DNA samples from little things that they could find in Brian's house today? Well, one of the reason is based on their findings. Depending on what they found during that autopsy, they might want to find something to connect, because maybe there is something that they're not sharing with the general public. That's the situation. The FBI is not sharing everything with the public. So YouTube is on fire. YouTube is going wild, and everybody has their theories. Everybody is saying this and everybody is saying that. But the FBI knows what's going on, and they're not feeding what is going on the internet. In fact, strategically, they're putting the information out because in all what they're doing, they want to drive a level of fear into Brian, so he would actually feel a sense of nervousness, like they're caving in on him, and his time is limited, and that he would do something not stupid enough, because a lot of people would be happy if he kills himself. I've heard people said that it would be nice if the guy would just take his own life, and let's find his body somewhere. A lot of people would be happy with that. But what would make me personally happiest is if the guy was found and would cooperate enough to say what the truth is. That's what I would love to hear. I would love to hear a confession of the story. That would be $1 billion story. I tell you, the reporter or anybody who is lucky to get a story from Brian, that is going to be $1 billion story, because the entire world is looking for it. And every media house at the moment, every news station, every police would have liked to be the one to get this truth out, because the world is waiting for an answer. We have surpassed the mark of the length of time that we go live here on TR News and Reviews, which is 45 minutes. We are already 7 minutes over that time. We definitely still are within the hour. We don't stream past 1 hour, so we can definitely go another 8 minutes. Right at the moment, let's just check if there is anybody with any question in the chat. Is there anything that you would like to know that you don't know yet? Any questions? And what would you like us to bring to the search tomorrow? What would you like us to bring to the table tomorrow? I asked earlier in the polls, do you think Brian is getting help with his disappearance? And 82% said yes, 17 said no. We had 23 votes, and of the 23, 82% said that Brian is getting help. So we are of the conclusion that someone is helping Brian with his disappearance. But who is it? His mom, his dad? Is there somebody? Do you think some law enforcement officer is also a part of his disappearance? We know that the lawyer, so the mother, the father, the lawyer, and probably other relatives are behind his disappearance. But do you think any of the law enforcement officers has anything to do with his disappearance? Let me know what you think about that. We also have a newcomer to the chat. We have Jeff Gagnon. Gagnon, sorry. Jeff Gagnon. Welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for joining us at TR News and Reviews. I've heard about the parents being on camera at the campground. Was Brian seen on any of this film? No. Brian was not seen, not from what I've heard and not from what I've seen. Brian was not seen on any of these film that was there. There's a lot of speculations out there that this and that and the devil knows what is happening. I don't have the news to know what's going on, so I don't really know what's going on here. So I didn't vote. Is that all right? No, Nana's Crafty Corner. It is not all right. You should have voted. I'm kidding. That's fine. There was no need for you to vote. We understand that not everybody, even though we believe that everybody in the world is following this very interesting and intriguing story, there are still people around that has no clue. Because if you are a sport fanatic that spend your all day watching sports, then you wouldn't have known about this. And if you are the type of person who is in a corner doing crochet all day, then you might not have known about this case. But all the RV people, people who are into van life, people who if you're into the news one bit, then you would have known, because every media houses, every newsroom is currently covering this story. We've been following the story because of many reasons. The deceased was a YouTuber, and the person that is missing and is a person of interest and is wanted is also a YouTuber. So therefore, let's see what this comment is saying. I feel bad for bashing dog today. A Tampa radio station stated he was at a resort in Naples 2 hours from Northport. Turns out he's got more done in 3 days than the FBI and PD. Well, I wouldn't totally say that he's gotten more done than the FBI, even though statistics would have clearly shown that he's gotten more done than them. But one thing for sure is that we're learning that the FBI took over the case only today. So it's only less than 24 hours that the FBI has taken the lead in this case. Now, for the police, yes, Dog has done far more than the police, but the funny thing is that I believe strongly that there is bits of the information missing, because as I said before you got here, Jeff, that I don't think for sure that they've been searching these 25 acres done by the reserve to find Brian. For me, I just believe they were searching for something else. It could never be that they're searching to find Brian, whether dead or alive. They had to be searching for something else, because there's no reason why Brian would be in the swamp. I cannot figure or find a reason, unless Brian decided that, okay, guys, you know what? Life is too much. I killed my girlfriend. I'm sorry. I can't bear this. My parents, they're going to stress. So you know what? Let me just feed myself to the alligators because they're hungry. No, he did not. He didn't do that. The parents, they are far too comfortable for anything to this effect to be happening. So, as a matter of fact, at this time, the whole time, I felt like Brian was in a comfortable location, watching the news, staying updated, and is probably intrigued to see how important he has become. That's my personal thoughts. I believe the young man is watching the news and is probably proud of himself to see how valuable he's become. In my last live stream, I said that Brian, by default, became America's most wanted. So much so that I had to take the time out to go find the top 10 most wanted in the United States, because I actually didn't know the top 10 wanted men before Brian. Brian caused me to start researching, because I said, the way they talk about Brian, he had to be the most wanted man in the United States. And so it caused me to go look into who those men were. And even when I found that he wasn't on the most wanted list, I came to the conclusion that he was more wanted than the top 10, that he could not even be placed on the top 10 most wanted. You see? I can't imagine the guilty conscience that accessory to a crime has to bear. They too run the risk of getting pinched, just like Brian. Yes, in the long run, that's what's going to happen. They were searching for his remains in in the swamp. They must have had bad intel to spend so much time in the swamp. But who exactly they would have gathered this kind of intel? Because as far as I am concerned, everybody within the reach of Brian in those couple of days were on Brian's side. I think they knew about the nature of the relationship from the get-go. They knew that these two weren't getting along, And even though the girl was a beautiful girl, and I mean, Gabby was very beautiful, and on the outside that we see, seemed to be very passionate about what she does and what she is going about. They knew the story between them both, and there's possibly a level of hatred and people not believing that they should even continue the relationship. And when it ends, they were probably happy. Brian comes home and Gabby is not there. Okay, great. Finally, my son made the right decision. He comes home and Gabby is not home. Very well done. They probably give him a chair and feed him his favorite meal, that he's made the right decision finally. You see? I read that already. All right, let's go to this one. Oh, we've seen that already. Yeah, so those are my personal beliefs. Those are the things that I'm thinking of, and we look forward to see what the story is going to turn out to be in the end. As I said before, from I started covering the story, I said the only two people with the truth is Gabby and Brian. And the world is seeking for this gold mine, the truth. And everybody is going off of circumstantial evidence. This could be that and that could be this. I think my theory is the right theory because the van was this, the slippers was out there, the door was half opened, he traveled there, he hit her, that happened, and everybody have theories. Who knows where they got the intel? Internet messages, parents, a vehicle spotted at a certain time, a place could have come from anywhere. Exactly. And as a matter of fact, Jeff, I personally think that people are toying with the police. I think people personally are toying with the police. People realize that everybody is searching for an answer. And just like as YouTubers, as content creators, we see, we normally have trolls in the chat room, for instance, we have a stream now and we're talking about Gabby and Brian. And a troll sometime would just pop into a stream and talk about something far-fetched, something that has nothing to do with the topic. My grandmother is on fire. Okay. We always find trolls trolling at all times. And I think trolls are doing their job as they normally do. Trolls are trolling the police as well. Just like recently they called the police to say they heard gunshots firing outside the Laundrie's home. Okay. While there was a news team stationed at the Laundrie's home across the road or somewhere in that area, that vicinity. The police was there. Surveillance is there. Everybody is gazing on the home to see if they could find something that would have been substantial evidence eventually to bring some closure to the case. And somebody had the time on their hand to call the police and tell them that there are gunshots fired. 12 police, 12 units went to the scene to check to see if something like this was happening, only to find out that it was false alarm. So people are saying all kind of nonsense. People see a coconut tree and they think it's Brian. They see a banana tree, I think that resembles Brian. It has a curve on the side of the hair. The forehead is big. The ears falling down. It has to be Brian. So, all kinds of things happening. Everybody with their theory. I have a bunch of video from last Friday night before he was announced missing. I went by the house today. A very little activity there this morning. Jeff, I'm glad you're here. By the way, I live in Northport, about a mile from Laundrie home. Jeff, I'm seeing you for the first time, but I am glad that you're here actually. I hope you will you know, find it possible to come here and, you know, say what you think personally. I'd love to hear what you have to say about the situation, because everybody have their theories. I've been following a lot of what I've seen here on YouTube. I'm following the news. I'm following Dog. I am following the FBI and whatever they feed us. And I just wish I would have someone who would come around and tell us something that they've seen personally. I'd love to talk to somebody who have seen something, or somebody who knows something. That's the type of person that I would love to talk to on this stream. So, Jeff, we go live at 10 every night. Well, weekdays. We would have been finished by now, but I was so happy with your presence that I continued for another 10 minutes. So, just know that it is because of you. Just, just so you know that it was because of you why we extended the stream for an extra 15 plus 7, 22 minutes. 22 minutes we extended the stream, all because of you, because we would have normally ended the stream in 45 minutes. It's sounding like I'm way off. I was convinced this case would turn up cold and his remains are in the swamp, never to be found. You think? Well, that's not a bad theory. It's not a bad theory. I might believe otherwise. My thought process would have led me into different areas or into different conspiracies. There's a strong chance that this could turn into a cold case. But happy 11/11 SF Rose. But I do believe that Brian is still alive. I just have a feeling that Brian is still alive, watching the news, or have somebody feeding him with what is going on out here. He's probably playing video games and having a wonderful time. It's all depending on the nature of the case. If he really killed her, which everybody is suspecting that he may have killed her himself. But, you know, there could have been several situations. She could have died from something else and he feels guilty, but then his actions suggest differently. You know, there could be a third party that turned up at the scene and killed her. You know, it could be a contract killing. It could be an animal killing. Well, no, it couldn't be an animal killing because at least the autopsy would have... They would have called off the search already. Well, they would have still be searching for him as a missing person, but not necessarily a person of interest, because if she was eaten by a tiger or bitten by a spider, you know, we would have known. But after the whole autopsy, we still did not hear what killed her. I'm not sure if anybody heard how she died, but I still haven't heard what killed her. I am hearing that there will be a later revelation of whatever happened. But at the moment, we know not what the case was. I don't think that, no, with all the activity, yeah, right, absolutely. I read and research a lot. 30 minutes of quick scanning and then off to bed. You take it easy, sir. All right, Derek C. Williams, you take care too. I'm about ending this live stream. Chat room, y'all take care. Thank you all for coming. All right, so guys, do take care, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. We will pick up back tomorrow. I am not sure if we will have anything substantial tomorrow to work off of, but at the moment, we just hope for the best. And thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Jeff, thank you so much for participating in the chat tonight. and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at 10. Remember now, guys, to be safe, and whatever information you have, do send it to us at as a matter of fact, let me just drop this in the chat room real quick. If you have any information, you can send it to any videos, ITRANSCEND records at gmail.com. I hope I spelled it right. So guys, you can, if you have videos, yes, Jeff, if you have any videos or anything that might have been something worth sharing, something that I can put in my report for tomorrow's story, please do forward it to me. Any new events unfolding, upcoming, anything that you know that you would love to share with me, please send it to that email. And if anybody else have any videos, anything, any new statements, anything coming up from the story, feel free to send it to us and we will share it on tomorrow night's story. Thank you so much for joining. Until next time, I am yours truly, TR Naya Reacts.